I tell y'all what's on my
What's
mind?
up? It's your brother, your cousin, your
Can I
uncle,
get a
your
couple
nephew,
of
your
things
friend,
off
what
my
can be your
chest?
son, your kinfolk, William Jewell. Well, giving you my detail as I articulate. This is articulating. Right. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below and turn all the notifications on so you can get all the new content when I post it. I just came here to articulate and give you my perspective from a close up and far away viewpoint, telescopic and microscopic. Right? You know, I love this hip hop shit. Right? You know, I love to talk about rap. You know, I like to articulate it, decipher it in my own perspective. Right? I'm not going to say I'm the best. Right? I'm not going to say I'm the most knowledgeable, but I'm going to say that I'm different. Right? And to me that's what matters, and that's what matters when it comes to rap. You know, when people can be different. And I think Tyler Don't Tap the Glass was different. I think he decided to take a different approach. People said it was a dance album. I don't call it a dance album. It was up tempo, upbeat, but it was not, honestly, never mind. It was not Beyonce Renaissance. It wasn't that type of dance album. It was just a more up tempo type of album. But as a hip hop fan, as a person that likes the traditional hip hop, but also likes when people become innovative and try to venture out and, you know, do what they can to put hip hop on a pedestal, on a different platform, just on a different wavelength. We can't hate. We cannot hate for somebody to try to step out the box. We cannot hate that. We can only appreciate that. Right? We got to understand that people like to experiment. We got to understand that people like to try new things. People like to go outside of their wheelhouse and see what they can do. And I mean, sometimes it lands and sometimes it floats. Right? It floats in a place that it wasn't supposed to land. Right? And I think this album kind of floated in a place that it wasn't supposed to land. I think this album had propellers, had a engine to run on, but I don't think far as the hip hop listener per se really like enjoyed this album. Maybe Tyler's fan base, maybe people who just like that type of music enjoyed it, but for me, I listened to it a couple times. The first time it really caught me by surprise. It did have some couple of songs on there, right? I can't deny that, right? Stop Playing With Me, Ring, 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 Sucker Free. It did have a couple of songs on there that I did enjoy, but for the overall, cohesive and compatible standpoint, I mean, to be honest, this album fit in the box of, cohesion per se, but as far as just the overall standpoint, the overall effort, just the overall product that this album gave me, it wasn't something that made me want to go back to it. It wasn't something that made me drop my jaw, pause. It wasn't something that resonated with me within my soul and made me feel a different type of way. It wasn't nothing that made the light bulb cut on top of my head. It wasn't something that satisfied me. It wasn't something that was a part of my plate. It wasn't something that was as palatable, as digestible as it could have been. It was innovative. It was experimental. It was outside the box. And I can't ask for more than that. But it did not land. Right? It did not connect. The wires were trippy. The wires crossed a little bit. There was not a plug into the outlet. There was not the circuit that kept us running on the juice. There wasn't it just wasn't that symbiotic relationship with his music. And I applaud Tyler. Shout out to Tyler. Right? He wasn't really rapping. He said some things from the lyrical standpoint. I did not love the production. Only on those songs that I name, only when the songs kind of gave me what I wanted. But and I'm not the biggest Tyler fan, so I feel like I'm looking at this from an unbiased standpoint. Chromacopia got my attention and let me know, right, that he could do something. But Don't Tap the Glass let me know he could do something as well. But as far as the overall offering, I don't want to accept this. I don't want to accept this. And, you know, I would rather give it back to him and let him cultivate it a little bit more. I think this was preheated a little bit too early. I think he took it out the oven before it cooked. So that's what I would say about Don't Tap the Glass. I don't have too much to say about it, right? I mean, I think it was 12 tracks, 10 tracks, 28 minutes. It wasn't long. But it was cool. But I didn't hate it on the second listen. The first listen, I did not like it. The second listen, it appealed a little bit more to me. But overall, this is not the type of music that I like, and I can say that, hey, it's not for me. But at the same time, explaining why it's not for me is, I feel like, my due diligence in being an articulator. But there was an album that was for me. There was an album that spoke to my spirit. There was an album that lit up a fire, shut up in my bones. There was an album that had me on my seat at the edge. There was an album that really touched me, right? There was an album that made me feel grown, made me feel mature. There was traditional hip hop, from a purist standpoint. There was Freddie Gibbs. There was The Alchemist. There was Alfredo too. And when I talk about the review that I spoke on about 1995, the song, how much I really like that song, this album really just pretty much entailed, or that song foreshadowed what this album would be. Just so soulful, just the samples, just the instrumentation, just the space to let those beats breathe, and just let Freddie's voice cut through, and just the texture, the raspiness, but the deepness of his voice, like the passion, the genuineness that you feel when he's rapping, and the flows, the cadence, and just how he got into those pockets and gave you what he needed to give you, to for you to really appreciate his skill set. Like, I don't think it's talked about enough. We gotta talk about Bandana. We gotta talk about Alfredo. We gotta talk about Soul separately. We gotta talk about You Only Die Once. We gotta talk about Alfredo too. We gotta talk about 6 albums. We gotta talk about this run. Freddie Gibbs, he hasn't missed. And Alfredo, you get that boom bap, you get that airy hip hop, not a whole bunch of instrumentation, but Freddie uses his flow and uses the sonics of his voice to give you that extra instrument. And he makes the production with the Alchemist work. And what the Alchemist did was masterful as well. There wasn't many features. There was Anderson .Paak, there was Larry June, there was JID. There wasn't many features because the featured presentation was Freddie Gibbs and Alchemist. We didn't need any distractions. Right? And everybody saying, oh, JID killed Freddie on his song. If you listen to the song, Freddie gave JID a chance to shine on their beat. Right? Freddie didn't try to compete with him on that song. He gave JID a alley oop on that song, and JID dunked the ball in the basket. Same thing with Larry June on Feelings, right? And Skinny Suge Knight too. Man, that just I love that song. I love that song. Ensalada. Just it's a lot of man. Anderson. Like, can you get even more pristine? Just gas station sushi. And I mean, a lot of talk is about him taking shots at Jim Jones, him taking shots at um Benny the Butcher, him taking a shot at Currency. And from what I've researched, it seems like he was rightfully in his own right to say a little bit something, right? Because he said a little bit something, he did not truly diss him. Start that Chevy, don't start me. Like, was that a true diss? And the fact that people know that it was directed towards Currency, right? It speaks to some wrongdoing on his part, right? Or irresponsibility from what I take into the research I've done. And then we know all about Benny the Butcher. Even in 1995, he was taking shots at him. Benny the Butcher got the most shots on his album, whether they was like subtle or whether they was very direct. Benny the Butcher, he should have a couple holes in him right now. And the thing is, Freddie Gibbs is showing Benny the Butcher how to make a great album. Like, I don't think Benny has been able to make this type of music ever, right? And they kind of got a same type of lane when they rap about the drug dealing, but Freddie, he talks about like his substance is a little bit more mature. His substance is not truly luxury, but it's about living the good life. It's about his vulnerability with women. Like, he's a little bit more vulnerable on this album. The same thing I said on You Only Die Once. I mean, we know the relationship that he got with his baby mama and how she did him and trying to jump ship with Benny the Butcher, right? You know that's gonna hurt. Like, especially you got a kid with this woman and you got to give this woman bread and she just smiling and doing all these things with the ops. And he came at academics. He came at Gunner. Like, I just like it. I just love the subtle shots. Like, people say, oh, these are not no real bars. These are not good bars. These are just shots. This is like pop. I'm a jab. I'm a jab. Dab, dab. Uppercut. He ain't trying to send no haymakers because this album was about great music. But for the people that need the shoe fits, they got to wear it. And I mean, just the second installment of Alfredo, to be honest, I mean, I love Scotty Beams with Rick Ross. I wish Rick Ross would have made an appearance on this album. I think it would have definitely been perfect for this album. But other than that, like, I mean, to be honest, they're kind of neck and neck. I ain't gonna say that Alfredo 2 is better, but right now I'm liking it more. And right now, like, I'm liking it better than any album I've heard this year, including the clips. God, let God sort them out. I love the clips. And with Pharrell, you're gonna get that commercial hip hop feel. You're gonna get that feel with the beats and with the bass and the production that, you know, Alchemist, he's not going to be able to tap into that, or he doesn't really tap into that much on this album, just more the soulfulness and the samples. But when I compare them, it's more like a production comparison versus a lyrical comparison. But just the soulfulness, that's what won me over, and that's what captivated me and just kept me in the chokehold. Pause. Right. So salute Freddie Gibbs. I think I've said what I needed to say about this album. So salute Freddie Gibbs. And then we go on to Drake, right? We go on to which one? Which one? I mean, I get it. I get it. But I'm just not the biggest fan of that sound. And we talk about the traditionalists, we talk about the purists, and the thing is, Drake is showcasing his ability to be versatile. He's showcasing his ability to have variety in his music. Drake is one of the greatest, if not the greatest, at doing that. I mean, Kendrick can't do that. J. Cole can't do that. Drake can do that. And even though it's a chameleon like, even though when we talk about the accents at the same time, you gotta applaud him for being able to get in those bags and sounding genuine and just making it sound good. Like, because that's hard to do. So as far as artistry, like just being able to go to different genres and capitalize and captivate fans by doing that, you gotta appreciate Drake. So it's like the song is good, and I feel like Central C, I like Central C. I like what he did on there. And shout out to Drake for letting Central C get that song in on the stream. Episode 2, Iceman. So now we know that the album is going to be called Iceman. He announced that while he was on tour in Europe. But when is he going to go back to Australia? He just went to Europe and he canceled his tour in Australia. Like, I'm trying to figure out what happened with that and why he left and why he decided to do something different. So, just sidebar, that's just kind of something that made me think about Australia. But it's just the depiction. Like, when did Drake become somebody that we had to really analyze and decipher what he was trying to say? Like, that's funny to me. Like the whole Pinocchio thing, people are trying to break it down as if they're breaking down the symbolism of a Jordan Peele movie, as if they're trying to break down the symbolism of a Super Bowl halftime show that Kendrick Lamar did. And we know Drake has never been that artist to present symbolism. And I feel like this is another thing, another wave that he's kind of jumping on, and understanding how people kind of like are glued into this type of thinking and this type of analyzing when it comes to videos and stuff like that. So he had the Pinocchio. He had the Pinocchio chasing him. He was acting scared. He was acting like he was afraid. He feared for his life. He feared. And now people are saying, oh, the Pinocchio is symbolizing Kendrick, and Kendrick is following him, and the Pinocchio, the long nose, symbolizes that the lies that Kendrick was telling him, and he's afraid and he's fearful that these lies will catch up to him, or these lies are chasing him. But we know a lot of the things that Drake has done is self-inflicted. So whether they be lies, whether they be rumors, or whether it just be hearsay, you're on camera, you're being videotaped, and you're responsible for your actions. But I don't see how we say that one man lies, but when the other man lies, no one points it out, right? So I mean, that's the missing, right? That's the most hurtful, that's the most misunderstanding thing when it comes to the Drake portrayal, when it comes to these images and videos that he's putting out, the way he's trying to depict things. He's steady taking digs. He's steady making himself look lame. He's steady making himself look corny. All he has to do is leave that angle alone and drop the music, but he can't. He can't leave it alone. He's still hurt. He still wounded. That's the issue. If Drake just made the music and left all the antics alone, this song will be a lot better. This song will be a lot more pleasing if he took away the visual of all the extra stuff that came with it. Even when we talk about what did I miss, if he would have left all the talking about Kendrick and the pop out, and like if he would have left that out the mix, these things would be a lot more enjoyable. But when we hear this, when we see these images, when we see these videos, it's all about some crybaby ass whiny boy shit. Like that shit just, I don't like it, man. I don't like it. That's just me personally. But I mean, I'm sure this song will do good on the charts. It seems like people are liking this more than What Did I Miss? And I mean, to be honest, I think both songs are good, but not great. But the fact that he's using these rollouts and these episodes to boost the viewership and boost the streams and the liking of these songs, I mean, hey, it's working. But without the machine, the true machine behind him, I don't think any of these songs are going to stick. I think these songs are going to make some noise. I think these songs are going to jam probably when you hear it in a club. But I think these songs are here today, gone tomorrow. So we'll see how much staying power these songs got. And even though Kia, right, it was a great song at the time, and it was a win for Drake to really get back on the Billboard charts. But when we really just analyze everything, like that song to me, I don't know if it's truly sticking. It made some rumbles. It did create a wave, but I think the Drake stands and the fan base was so desperate for him to get a win. I think they kind of made that song a little bit more relevant than it actually really was. So we'll see. We'll see. That's just my point of view. Right. I haven't made no hit songs. Right. I haven't signed with any record labels. But I am somebody that's looking at it in the standpoint where other people might not see. So maybe this adds some perspective. Maybe this is just a conversation piece for you to talk about. But this is your brother, your cousin, your uncle, your nephew, your friend, but I can't be your son as your kinfolk, William Jewell, giving you my detail as I articulate. This is articulating. Rap, rap, rap.